Hey there, this is Joe Techie. In this video I'm going to talk a little bit about the new Belkin QODE Ultimate Pro keyboard case that just came in. This is a Bluetooth keyboard offering from Belkin. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about the pros and the cons so we can kind of see what's going on with that. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the pros on this particular case. So this is a very thin keyboard case. Okay, we're going to open it up, have a quick look at it here. It has backlit keys, which is a very good plus. It supports two different modes. It has landscape and portrait mode. Let's take a look at it here, and here's the case itself. Okay, and there's also a charging cable here attached to the box. Looks like you actually have to rip that out of the box in order to get to it. So we'll set that aside. Okay, and here's the actual case. Okay, this is magnetized, so that's kind of good. This is supposed to have smart magnets. Alright, so we have some literature that we're greeted with here. Probably giving us a quick start. So I'll set that aside. Okay, so here we have the case itself. This is a magnetized flap that lays over the top, and the actual back cover is also magnetized to the keyboard down here at the bottom. Okay, so let's go ahead and present the iPad into this just so we can have a better idea and get some functionality going on here. So when slipping these in here, I always tend to go buttons first, so that way I'm not actually creating any extra wear on my buttons. Alright, so what's happening here is it's very strongly magnetized to these two different points. Okay, so that's one of the pros here. It actually is very strong. It holds up together right here. You may notice that this little blue light is blinking down here as soon as I had docked it onto one of the magnets. So it actually turns the keyboard on and off. So it is called a Smart Sensing Auto On and Off feature. This particular keyboard is very thin overall, and it's actually fairly light. It's actually just under 2 pounds. There's a couple others on the market that are, roughly about 2 pounds, and I think there's one that might be just a little bit lighter depending on what you're looking for. So it does feel like it has some substance to it. Nothing extreme. I will note that the smart cover, the back cover here, is actually very snug on the iPad. It is not going to slip out whatsoever. It feels very secured, which is a very good strong point in my opinion. It's also thick. You can see some of the thickness here. Extremely thick. So you're definitely going to get some good protection out of this. Has a nice leathery feel to it. I don't know if you can see that. Has a nice leathery texture. Gives you some good substance to kind of hold on to. Alright, so let's go ahead and... So here we have it closed. Go ahead and open it up. These magnets are very strong. You have to actually kind of pull somewhat hard. Alright, so let me go ahead and pair this up. Let's go into my settings. Okay, there it is. We'll pair it up. Okay, so we now finally have a pairing request. So I'm going to go ahead and click pair. The keyboard is now showing connected. So I should be able to hit the home button and it takes me out to the home screen. This keyboard has backlit keys, so there's several function keys along the top. It actually is a shared function key row with the numbers. So this button here will activate the backlighting on it, and there's actually 3 different brightness levels. Might be difficult to see. It's very nicely backlit. Now there's also another nice little feature is that you're able to pair this with 2 different devices. So for example, right now it's paired up with this iPad. However, you could pair this up with your other, say another phone or another iPad or something different. Anything that you want that is Bluetooth compliant should be able to generally connect to this thing. And all you would do is toggle with your function and toggle back and forth between these 2 buttons. So right now it's set to the 1. If I set to the 2, then I will be able to go ahead and pair up a second device, which is a very neat little feature. This does feature the smart magnet, which will wake up your iPad or put it to sleep when it's in a closed position. It also works with smart covers. So this actually comes off, and this is all magnetized, this little flap here. But the back cover has a cutout, which is kind of neat, so that you can put your Apple Smart cover on here if you wish to. That's a very, very nice feature. So we do have multiple modes. I want to show you that as well. Right now it is currently in landscape mode. We can turn this into portrait mode, just like that. You can also put it back the way it was. And I'll just turn it backwards. We now have what's called book mode. And I can actually type on the keys back here and nothing's going to happen because the keyboard is only activated once it is resting on either of the two magnetic slots. Okay, so coming back over to the top here, I find that this book mode for me is just a little awkward, but that's okay. I can easily just grab the iPad and use it this way in tablet mode and book mode, so to speak. This keyboard also features a 1-year battery life, which is pretty good. The cutouts along all of the edges here allow for adequate access to all the ports. It's easy to access each of those. Now with this keyboard we do have easier access to the control center because there is a little space here at the bottom that I can actually use to access the control center features. The keys themselves feel pretty good. Very good substance to type on. They have kind of a, I don't want to say rubbery, but somewhat of a rubbery type of material. It's actually kind of a texture that's on there, and that kind of helps you to grip on there. The keys are just a little bit smaller than your standard laptop size keys. As you can see, they're just a little bit more narrow, but they're not too bad, and it's fairly easy to get used to once you've been typing for a little while. Now this iPad, one of the things I like about this is that the flap is magnetic, so it actually sticks to this, or it will also pretty easily reattach to the back cover as well. So there's not too much guessing to reattach it. And I'm just going to do a quick typing test here. Okay. Okay, it feels pretty decent. I like it. You do have your shared function keys across the top here, as I mentioned before. So you've got your search, your lock and home, your app switcher here. You have your screenshot function key, your toggling your keyboard on and off. This is going to be for your brightness control, to turn the control on and off for your brightness, and also the varied brightness indicator. So you can press it multiple times and either turns it on and off or vary through the different cycles of lighting. Of course, you have your play, your rewind, your play stop, fast forward, your volume buttons as well. And of course here, we talked about this before, you've got your two different keys to pair up different devices. So right now we're paired onto device 1. You have your Siri button down here at the bottom, which is very nice. It's in an awkward location, but that's okay because it just takes a little bit of getting used to. It's not too bad. One thing I wanted to point out here about the cutouts is that the speaker holes actually come out, extend out just a little bit, and it's almost like a cupping effect on this. So pointing directly at you and you get more of the sound. That's a very nice feature. Apparently Belkin thought out this one quite well, so I give them props for this one. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the cons on this particular keyboard. The function keys are shared across the top row. I don't particularly like that. I would have preferred its own separate row of function keys. It only has 2 viewing angles, so you've got this angle and then you have this angle, and that's it. You only have one backlight color. There's no way to change the white backlighting to a different color, which I think that's fairly minor, but it's something that I would expect to see in a keyboard of this price range. The book mode, as I mentioned before, is a little bit awkward. I think it's just better to take the iPad completely off of the back here and just use it in book mode that way. That's just my preference. I think the keyboard flexes a little bit. You'll notice that it kind of bends. I don't know if that's really going to be an issue or not, but it was sort of concerning. But again, I don't know if that's going to really cause any major issues down the road. Now the snap cover magnet is not very strong. So what I mean by that is the magnets down here are pretty strong. Now what I mean is the back itself, which is here, this little flap actually magnetizes to the back cover, and that's how this kind of held together. So if I managed to hold this up, it eventually would come off. Now that's not going to be very common you would do that, but if for whatever reason you needed to pick it up this way, you would actually have to hold it with your hand, like I'm doing right here. Hold your fingers to it just to kind of make sure it doesn't come apart. So I think that could have been just a little bit stronger, but I know that they were probably trying to make it easier to detach. so that you can take it off into tablet mode. The other thing is that this keyboard package is very pricey in my opinion. It goes for about $149.99, $150. Now overall I think this is a great keyboard and the quality seems spot on. There are some slight design differences between this keyboard and the ZAAG Slim Book, which I've reviewed previously. Take a look at those if you have not seen those. The Slim Book is more of a laptop style all-in-one, where this one is more of a folio style keyboard, has laptop-like features. I hope you found this useful for your buying decisions, as I know there's a very limited quantity of decent quality keyboards out there for the iPad Air 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me any comments or questions, feedback. If you have anything, suggestions for things that are up and coming, let me know those as well down in the comments area. Thanks for watching and have a great one. Joe Techie out.